Hey Rashi, how are you going today?
I am going really, really well. Happy, what are we? Thursday. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thursday. One more sleep and it's the weekend.
That's true. How are you going?
You know what? It's been big energy this week with the full moon, and I'm feeling like we need to actually dive into that at some point in our chat today. So I'm going to be candid and just say that I'm really sitting in all the feelings this week and
Yeah.
witnessing and try not to judge them and just kind of let them lead me to where I need to be led. So
Yeah.
that's my week this week. How about you?
That is interesting. Yes, a whole range of emotions, and I always feel it in the full moon. Like, that whole analogy that we're 2/3 water and we see what the moon does to the tide. So, I kind of get that. I'm a bit analytical as well, that it does affect us in some way. Interesting what you said about just being that observer, because there's been stuff that's come up that I've kind of like, oh, I don't know if I like what's come up. Like, sometimes let me give you an example. So maybe some old thought patterns or some habit patterns that have come up. And I actually was talking to someone and I said, oh, I don't know, I'm trying to like get rid of those. Like, I thought I'd dealt with that. And she actually gave me a really some really good wisdom. And she said, rather than look at it that it's coming back up again for you and you're spiraling down, she said, maybe it's just coming back up for you to be the observer, be curious about it, and maybe it's actually on its way out. So it's actually flashing out and you're just observing it as it's coming up and going out. And I kind of like that, because I'm thinking, yeah, I feel like I've dealt with that. Why is it coming up again? And then it's like, oh, actually, maybe it's just that last little bit that's just flashing out. So, yeah.
That's a really special way to look at it, because I know one of the themes for me has been taking things personally. And it's, I know I've been sitting with it and going, well, I know what my intention is. And same thing that you just mentioned, old thought patterns that you thought you'd work through. And just understanding that it can be on another level. So we work through different levels and we keep up leveling. And so just those things can come back to us, but they may not be as powerful a pull on us as they used to be, but they're still there. And that's okay. And for me, I went for a walk this morning because I wake up with this feeling. So whatever's unresolved for me, I wake up with that present.
And so we've jumped back on to continue our chat, as that's what technology does from time to time. So I was touching base on the fact that this morning I opted to go for a walk to walk through my feelings and to observe what was on my heart. And by the end of my walk, I was sitting with the theme of how I can take things really personally at times. And I actually was going to ask you, I had a section of this chat where I was going to say, it was going to be called Ask Rashi.
Oh.
And what the first question was, maybe you can answer it for me, how do I stop taking things personally? Because I feel like this would be relevant to our listeners as well, not just myself.
So within context of your example, am I thinking there's a situation or somebody said something to you and you've taken it as...
Yeah, so for me specifically, it's people saying things to me that hold no truth. And I'm like, well, that's not true. But then I take that personally, even though I know it's not true.
So, yeah, so something, so we have an activation or a trigger, some people call it. And usually that trigger or activation triggers or activates something in us. So you have a thought process. So, I say something to you, you have a feeling that or thought, that's not true. And then where do you go from that? Because that thought or that initial feeling might be, so what was the feeling you felt? Let's start with that.
Like a personal attack on me.
So a personal attack. So normal. Somebody might say something to you that you don't agree with, or that might be offensive. So that's normal. It's a normal human reaction. What then becomes the harm or the spiral downwards is then the stories you create. So if we can just take it as, often we might get a physical sensation as well. So when we start to become, and this is the mindfulness, when we start to become more aware of, okay, thought, maybe a physical sensation. For some people, their heart beats faster. For some people, they get a little feeling in their gut. Some people get sweaty palms. Bring your awareness to, okay, what's going on right now? Somebody's just said something to me and I'm feeling a little bit hurt by it. Is that true? There's a saying which says, if a thought causes you pain, then question it, because it's not normally true. What then causes us the pain is the stories we attach to it. So it's the stories that are causing you harm, and they're just stories. So the actual reaction is a normal human reaction. Why shouldn't we feel offended if somebody said something to us to perhaps hurt us? It's okay. It's then what we do with it after that. A great thing that I use, which is quite comical, is if I take things too personally, I'm not that important. So that person's probably already moved on. She's just said what, or he's just said what they have to say. It's me that's still holding on, creating the harm. You've heard the story about the monk?
No.
Oh, you haven't? You want me to tell it?
Yeah.
I'll try and do a very brief version because I know we're on the podcast. So there was 3 monks, and I'm kind of doing it the Rashi version. You can Google it. It's a Zen Buddhist story about how we hold on to things. So 3 monks, you've got the wise sage monk, you've got the kind of middle monk, and then you've got the novice monk who's in training. They're walking along the riverbank, you know, chatting to each other, sharing wisdom. They see a old lady trying to cross the river. She's got, you know, bags of shopping. She's not very mobile. And, you know, monks take a vow of not to touch the opposite sex. The novice monk saw this lady struggling. Out of kindness and compassion, he went and lifted her up, put her on the back, carried her across the river, and then came back again. Nothing was said. The monks carried on walking in silence. Well, the middle monk was feeling rage, saying, why isn't the wise monk saying anything? But he's just broken that law. And anyway, he couldn't keep his silence longer. And so he said to the wise monk, why aren't you correcting this novice monk? You know, we've taken a vow not to touch the opposite sex. The wise monk in his wisdom said, the novice monk put the woman down a long time ago. You're still holding on to her. You know, same with our thoughts. It's the thoughts that we hold on to, that we take personally, that then cause us to spiral down. So question your thoughts.
Very powerful.
Yeah, very powerful story. Simple,
yeah.
But it's, you know, they're the things that cause us harm. Way after the events happened, because we're still like, we're still holding on to it. Yeah.
Thank you. That's so helpful.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, what full moon, what themes have been coming up for you under this full moon energy this week that you've been working through?
So what has been coming up for me? So yeah, just for me, I've just been observing some patterns that have been emerging, like becoming too busy, taking things personally. That's another thing. Self-care, dropping down. And this is everything that I teach to everyone else. You know, make time for yourself. Don't get too busy. Make sure you're nourishing your body, spirit, and mind. And I've noticed that in particularly this last probably 7 to 10 days, those old habit patterns of doing, busy have started to come up, as well as kind of, you know, a whole range of emotions. what worked for me was what I shared before, was rather than resisting it and pushing it away, it was just more of a, okay, let me step back, let's observe it. Yeah, it's actually flushing out because I'm actually aware of it. And so I've made changes in the next few weeks to correct that. So actually today's, I don't know how you feel, but today I feel a bit lighter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too. It's I think also to be able to share with our listeners how we are practicing what we teach is really important too, and for our listeners to understand that just because we teach this doesn't mean we've figured it all out. We, you know,
Not at all.
in fact, we're probably thrown in the fire.
We are.
a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
okay.
We're probably thrown in the fire to actually live it so that we can actually speak from a place of experience.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when you're working, and that's the only way I can teach is from my own experience. And, you know, whether our people that come across our path, students, you know, student teacher, there's no different. But often I'll be working through something and there'll be one of my students right in front of me that has that same, and it's often like a little, yeah, okay, yeah, I understand, I'm working through the same thing. They're our greatest teachers at times, because sometimes they'll be sharing something and it actually resonates with what I'm dealing with or something that I need to work through myself. So yeah, we still have the same issues as everyone else. Yeah.
Most definitely. And I feel too that this is how our soul communicates to us at times, is either through presenting problems that we need to work through or through conversations with people. The themes can be mirrored and they can be presented. And if we're paying attention, this can be really helpful for us, because I feel that when we don't listen, those themes keep coming back. And so if you're noticing themes are repeating themselves in your life, perhaps that's your intuition calling your attention to it.
Yes, to delve a bit deeper and to explore it a little more. And there's a shift in the, you know, how, and I still think there is this kind of misconception, you know, that people that do maybe the work that we do, you know, like we're up here and then we're teaching our students down here. I think there's a whole shift in that whole paradigm of teacher student. I think we're actually walking side by side with one another now. And that's how it was thousands of years ago, in, you know, even in the yogic philosophy, is that the wisdom was just shared with one another, and we teach one another. And very much I feel that there's that shift happening, that we're just walking on this earth side by side, gaining wisdom and teaching from each other, and there's no hierarchy.
Oh, so you don't feel like you're better than others?
Not at all. No, and I say this so much to my students, like, never ever put me up on this pedestal like I'm this kind of guru that has it all worked out, because I can burst that bubble. Just come and live in our house for a week and you'll see. I think probably the difference, if there is any difference, is that when you, for me anyway, when you have a mindfulness practice, perhaps things are not so, you know, we don't have that huge roll like dips and highs and lows. Maybe things are a little bit more even keel with a mindfulness practice. I can, you know, my 25 years ago, you know, it might have gone from 0 to 100 straight away. But, you know, now I can step back, be the observer, take skillful action, rather than just react. Maybe that's different. But no, certainly, you know, I still have my flaws.
I think we all do, but that's part of the journey. That is the journey.
We're human, right?
Yeah,
we're not.
I have a little laugh at myself now when I'm going through something, and I used to get so intense with the situation, and now I just go, oh wow, I'm about to learn something about myself. This is really cool, and try and flip the perspective and to be curious about what I'm about to learn. And it actually just kind of takes the pressure lid off.
Yeah.
Because then I get excited and I'm like, right, okay, what is it? And like, it's very useful way of looking at it, but it works for me, and it doesn't it's not as intense when I look at it that way.
Yeah, even your example that you shared before, you know, like you took something personally. What can I learn from this? Like, why is it activating me? You know, what is it that perhaps I may not have dealt with, or what is it that I need to grow? In what area do I need to grow? You know, everything can be a lesson if we choose it to be, you know.
And I think too, there's this what's happening now is there's this shift of learning and looking to teachers to learn, and now we're being called to actually trust in our own knowing and our own guidance, and take action from your own intuitive guidance. And
so true, yeah.
You know, and this is really powerful, and it's something I speak about with my clients when they come in for healings. You know, you already know. You already know this is a beautiful space for you to come to and to include in your wellness rituals. You actually know what you need to do, and you know the ideas are flowing in, and whether they're putting the pause button on it or not, we're able to I'm able to show them that they already are receiving their guidance, which is so cool.
That's really cool as well, because my class on Tuesday was trusting your inner wisdom. And you know, and again, everything that I teach is from experience. And I had one of my students that was really struggling with a decision she was making, because her thought process had been in one direction for over 18 months, and then suddenly she'd flipped to this other direction, and she was really struggling with it. She'd made the decision, but she was struggling in her own self, trying to justify, well, how can I think like that for so long, and now suddenly I'm thinking like this? And so I said to her, like, just sit still, like create space, sit still, trust here. And as long as you're making the decision from an area of love for yourself with your own inner wisdom, you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong. Like if you just create that space, that still small voice will speak to you. And if that decision is being made out of love for yourself, from my experience, you can't go wrong. And even if that decision has changed in 18 months, it doesn't matter. We change, right? Everything is changing, everything is fluid. So, you know, that's something that I use if I'm a bit unsure about making a decision, is that stillness. Create some space, turn down the volume of everyone trying to give you advice, and trust this. This is your truth.
This is something that resonates with me too. When decisions are made from the heart, they're always right. And this is how you know whether you're making the right decision or not. If it feels good in your heart, if your heart feels expansive, or, you know, your body will show you.
Yeah.
And but for those who have never done that, or who don't recognize that feeling, how can they start to do that for themselves?
To listen to their own inner voice.
Yep.
Is to create the space to do that. And there might be lots of ways to do that. From my experience, the only way to do that is simply to create space and time where it's quiet, where it's still. And if you've specifically got something that you're struggling with, or it's a question, is to ask yourself that question and then just sit in stillness. And for those that, you know, struggle, your mind will go here, there, and everywhere. That's normal. That's totally normal, especially if you don't have a regular practice. But if you can just sit with the discomfort of that, you know, maybe it's 5 minutes one day, you might not get an answer straight away. Do 5 minutes the next day, or 5 minutes that same evening. Eventually the answer will come if we listen. And then it's that trusting, because then your mind might want to jump in and try and sabotage that inner knowing and try and analyze it, because some things don't make sense when it comes from here. Some things we just can't explain, but we know that we know that we know. So it's a step further. It's you get that little whisper, and then don't let this try and sabotage it. There's something brings to mind is, some of us get that gut feeling, and then our head gets in the way. Okay, what's in the middle of those two? It's here. So come back to here always. Yeah.
That's beautiful advice.
Mm.
And so this year we've been collaborating on events, and from yoga wellbeing workshops to our one-day retreat. And as you were speaking, I realized that is actually has been the underlying theme at all our events, is come back to your heart and trust your heart. Your heart knows. And I believe that's why it's felt so easy for us in creating these events, right? Is because ultimately it's all about trusting in your own unique wisdom, and we're essentially holding people up in that space and just saying, we've got you, like you can do this, and we've got you. That's been really special. So I'm wondering, how have these events, how have these been for you? How have you felt about?
Fantastic, hasn't it? It's been quite amazing, really. And I think when things just fall into place like they have with all of the events we've done, it's just felt free flowing and easy. And for me, when it just kind of, I'm not saying that, there wasn't any hard work involved, just to clarify, we did work hard, but the actual themes of the event, the actual running of the event, when it does flow like that, that you're in flow. And the inflow is that, it's being led from your heart. It's not being led with any other, well, for me, with any, and maybe you can say how it's for you, Kate. But when you're in that flow state, for me, I know that it's heart-centered. The intention there is so pure. Then again, it can't go wrong, because it's coming from this space, and both of our intentions are so pure, in that we're so wanting our people that come to these events to really delve into their own heart, and all we're doing is holding space for that, not controlling or manipulating, not saying that it should be a certain way. It's almost like we're giving them the space to explore that.
Yeah, because I do believe that we all have our own way of interpreting life. And to tell someone how to interpret it is just giving them my interpretation. And then they're not able to live in their fullest, because they're actually not channeling it through their own source, right? So it's been, for me, it's been so, to watch how beautifully received our events have been is just like, wow.
Yeah, it's been lovely, hasn't it?
Yeah,
really, really good. And we've enjoyed doing them. We've had fun. There's been laughs, and then our girls have kind of the day retreat, and some of the events that come in at the end. It's nice having that whole community as well, and our families kind of join in too.
I've loved that part, and I did want to ask you about that, because this is something my husband and I have always included our daughters in all aspects of our lives, our working lives, and partly that's because we live away from family, and so it is what it is. But what I noticed was it's actually been something that has been a beautiful bonding element for us as a family, and so we consciously now and intentionally include our girls in every aspect of our life. And I'm wondering, because when I noticed that you and Alex have this similar setup, is that something that was intentional for you, or was it just spontaneous?
It was really spontaneous. Like it it wasn't intentional. Like Alex and I had the vision of the farm, which if you want to hear about it, go to podcast episode, whatever it is, 70 something, I think. But anyway, yeah, so we had the vision of the farm, and again, it just really grew organically. And then we put the coffee shop in, and our kids have just come along on the journey with us. As they're getting older, like, you know, they've got their own interests and, you know, their own lives. And, you know, a lot of them are into sports, you know, they're doing uni, they've got jobs. And unlike when they were, I guess, little, where we were all together at the same time, for those that have come to the farm, you probably noticed that we're not all there at the same time, but there's usually one or two there at some point. And I think the beautiful thing for us is, you know, they're always wanting to help rather than us kind of forcing them to help, because I'm pretty sure they see the bigger picture of it, and over the 5 or 6 years that we've had it, you know, there's people that have been with us for 5 or 6 years, and they've just seen the journey, and those people are very much like our family. You know, we don't have blood family here, and it does take a village to raise a child. And you know, I can hand on heart say, and I think the people in the farm know that there've been people that have acted as aunties, sisters, uncles, for our children, and continue to do so. So yeah, very much. We just say we've got this event happening, 1 or 2, 3, 4. We usually have some help. So yeah, that's been great.
And so what impact, looking back upon reflection, what impact has creating the farm had on yourself and Alex and your family?
What impact has it had? We've got a huge family. Our family network has grown. Look, I'll be honest with you, there are times when we felt like giving up because it's been hard. You know, it's not easy. And when you're dealing, you know, with a lot of people, all, you know, going through challenges, emotions, and then just maintaining the property itself. At some times, you know, when we've had stuff going on in our life, it's been hard, and we thought, oh my gosh. But, you know, without a doubt, when we're at that point in the journey, something will happen. We'll get a message, or we'll get a phone call, or we'll get a blessing of some sort, and we think, oh yeah, that's why we're doing it. It'll be a real reminder that, you know, don't make decisions when you're kind of down in the valley. The impact it's had is that we just see a whole community that are supporting one another, and that is just gold. Yeah, I think I mentioned it last time we chatted, was that I feel sure that we can step out. Well, I know we can step out, and the support will still be there. So it's not dependent on us at all. That's
special.
Yeah, people have taken ownership of it.
The vision is bigger than you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That is the feeling that I get when I go to the farm, and when I first came to the farm, the essence of feeling so welcome, and our community now, but your community stepping up and coming and introducing themselves to me. Like you really don't get that in a lot of wellness spaces. And I was like, wow, there's something very special about this place. And for anyone listening who is not familiar with Rashi and the farm, do you want to share a little bit about what the farm is and how it's helping the community?
Yeah, so we are in Merredin Plains. We call it the farm. It's not an operating farm. We do have veggies and some fruit trees there. We don't have animals, but it's on about 3 acres, and we have a coffee shop, a yoga studio, beautiful paddock. The philosophy of the farm is that whatever we do there, the profits go to charity. And so we have regular yoga classes, we have the coffee shop, we have people hiring it for events. There's usually something going on there. all during the week. And it's a community. So there's a misconception that you have to be a yogi or you have to like coffee. No, you can just come along and just be. It's open for everyone. We have a saying which is judge little, love lots. And that's really, if you want to sum up our ethos, is everyone is welcome at the farm. And as Kay mentioned before, we don't even have to be there. You will be welcomed by the community. That we're talking about, that shift in paradigm. It's not Alex and I or the Cottrells. It's like, actually, we are walking together. So yeah, come along, check us out. We've got lots happening until the end of the year. Yeah.
And are we allowed to talk about your vision for the farm moving forward?
Oh, moving forward, gosh, yes. So,
are you ready
yes,
to share?
I think so. Yeah. Well, the parts that I know, I'm ready to share. I think, as I said, I think the picture's probably bigger than what my mind can conceive. But so a place of wellness. I think you said that phrase, and I really liked it, because I was describing to you, I think one time over coffee, what I see, and you said, "Oh, a place of wellness." And it's actually just coming into being, like Kay has and Kat have beautiful events, sound healing events, and Kay has teen circles, you know, young teens, older teens, regularly happening there. So a place of wellness, and eventually we are hoping just to put some little kind of tiny homes on there for next year when I start doing the yoga teacher training. So the first intake will be next year sometime. I'm still writing the program, so I put it out there now. And we'll launch it in February next year. But yeah, I think as well as what's going on there now, for it to be more a place for teaching as well. So yeah, we've got some exciting things coming up. Other allied health and professionals, and massage, acupressure, reflexology, and as well as having treatments there, we're actually going to start doing some teaching workshops. So people that don't want to do like a whole reflexology or a massage course, but want to learn skills that they can perhaps use in their family and everyday life. So yeah,
it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So and Zalima teaching children's yoga classes.
Thank you. Yeah, Zalima will be. She's just bogged down with year 12 and exams at the moment. She'll be done in 3 weeks. So yeah, regular kids stuff happening there. Classes on a Sunday for kids, and then we do holiday workshops there. So yeah.
Beautiful. It sounds so beautiful.
We'll be doing events together. More events. Yes. Yeah. So we've got at the moment we've got Kay and myself doing events together. We've got Sandy that teaches classes on the Sunday, and then me and Sandy do a couple of events together. And then we've got Lisa and Margie offering Reiki massage as well.
You have Sounds of Surrender coming up. Sounds of Surrender?
Yes, we do.
When's that coming up?
That's on the 6th of November. Yeah.
So if you're interested in that, go to judgelittlelovelots.com.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so a space like this, it takes a lot of work to manage, right? So how do you do this all by yourself?
We
and
do.
If you don't, you do?
Yeah, Alex does he does a lot of the hard work in it, you know, like just the mowing, the maintenance. We've got actually Christy Pritchard, you know Christy, and Sheila. They've been helping maintain the garden beds and the veggie patch. So, but yeah, if you want to volunteer, just contact me. We will find you a job to do. Yeah, as with any organisation, you know, volunteers are sometimes the hardest to find.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so how do you support yourself, Rashi? Who do you go to for support to take care of your well-being?
So I have probably about 3 mentors that I I don't have regular sessions with them, but when I feel like I do need it, or when I feel like I'm, at that edge or at the top of the spiral, I'll connect in with them. And also, just for me, hanging out with my girlfriends, and they're, a lot of them are part of the farm community. Hanging out with my girlfriends, just going out for lunch, going out for coffee, having a beach day. For me, that is a great way to just de-stress, relax, fill my cup. And then, if I'm really struggling, I'll might make a phone call to a girlfriend, and Alex is my greatest rock sounding board. So yeah, that's how I self-care, and really important to do that.
I guess my next question for you is, what kind of value has self-care brought to your life, and have you always been someone that's taken good care of herself?
No, no is the answer to that. Most definitely not. Right up until I was probably mid to late 20s. No, I was a doer, type A personality. Had to be doing, had to keep on until you went to bed exhausted, and then couldn't sleep because your mind was ticking over. So yeah, if you'd met me like 20, 25 years ago, outwardly I was looking good and successful, but mental well-being was probably non-existent. Really didn't self-care. Yeah, I guess because I didn't allow myself to be still, because I knew that if I was still, or still and silent, all that stuff would come in that I'd have to deal with, and I didn't want to deal with it. Or I thought I didn't want to deal with it. And so I just kept on doing. Now, fast forward, if I hadn't had that nudge, yeah, if I'm honest, it would probably be scary. I don't know if I'd still be here, in all honesty, if I hadn't, or, if the divine or the universe hadn't kind of called me up on it to say, hey, listen, you need to do something, or, you will come crashing down and you might not get up. So yeah, for me, it's a non-negotiable. If I'm honest, at times, hopefully not that often, but times I forget and I can get into that mode of doing. But majority of the time, I'm, definitely aware of it.
That's really cool. And as you were talking about that, it brought my attention to the fact that sometimes the universe tests us too. And for me now, self-care, it's just an essential part of every day for me, and it may change. It may not be as big one day as it is another day, maybe just a few minutes one day, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But opportunities can come your way that tempt you to go, oh yeah, I'll go and do that. You talked about being busy, and sometimes being busy is a badge of honor for some people.
Yeah.
And I'm recognizing, okay, when I'm getting offered opportunities, is that actually going to add value? Does that feel good for my heart, or is it actually taking me away from, say, my opportunity to take care of myself? So that was a thought that just came into my mind as you were sharing about how you used to doing was important.
Yeah, that's very relevant to actually what I'm working through at the moment. And yet before, especially when I became a qualified yoga teacher, I just say yes to everything. And then I'd be like, why am I so burnt out? And what you shared before is a really great tool for any of your listeners, is that when you're doing things, and even if you're not super busy, but whatever you do during your day, ask yourself the question, is it making your heart sing? Is it a feeling of expansiveness, or is it a feeling of restriction or constriction? And that's usually an indication as to, what's nourishing for you and what's not nourishing you. I know for me, moving forward to next year, I'm definitely making a conscious effort to do less in community pharmacy. For those that don't know, I'm a pharmacist as well. Because I know that if I do too much in there, that's not a nourishing experience for me, and especially now. So I'm not ready to give it up, but I know I need to step out a little bit more and pour my energy into, you know, stuff that we're doing together, or more mindfulness workshops, more yoga stuff. That's what makes my heart sing, and that fills my cup as well. So yeah, awareness is key.
It's wonderful that you mentioned that, because this isn't something we've talked about, but this is an intention of mine too, is to actually step out away from the sports coaching space that I've been in for many years now, to make space to actually be in the wellness space more often. And for that to happen, I need to step away from some of my commitments, which I've known now for this year that this would be coming to an end, and feel good about it, feel really good about it. So it's interesting that you're having the same experience in pharmacy. So the theme is the same, but it's just packaged slightly differently.
It is. And I think if we're really honest with ourselves, like for me, I know that it's been knocking for a little while, and I've kind of resisted it a little bit because, you know, like the change, the security, there's a little bit of fear, you know, a little bit of risk taking. But I also know that once, and again, come back to here, what's your heart telling you to do? You know, I know, like I'm sure you do, that your heart is telling you to step away from this and step towards that. And when I've done that in the past, you know, things just kind of open right up. It's almost like we're restricting ourselves by staying in this place of security, certainty, because it's familiar, right? Even though it might not be nourishing, it's familiar. So yeah, it's overcoming this, listening to this gut reaction, and then just confirming it with this. So yeah, watch out next year for both of us then.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what's going to unfold. Like, work for me is very exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's an exciting time to be alive. It really is. You know, we can feed into some of the drama and the chaos. You know, there's an option, we can do that, or we can feed into, actually, this is exciting. You know, it's you know, that, you know, the world is our oyster. We've got a beautiful page here. We can write the story. So yeah, let's choose to look at that.
Beautiful. And so before we wrap up today, what have you got happening at the farm up until the end of the year, if you can remember?
Let's see, what have we got? Yeah.
So that if anybody's interested in coming along to any of your events, what would you like to share about?
So we've got our regular classes up until the 17th of December for the regular classes. And yeah, you can find those either on our Facebook page, Stretch and Flow, or the website, Judge Little Love Lots. But events-wise, we've got Long, Slow, Deep coming up on the 29th of October. We've got Sounds of Surrender, which is sound healing meditation and a bit of teaching, on the 6th of November. Kay and Kat have got on the 28th, is it?
Yes. Yep.
28th. 28th, Kay and Kat are doing a beautiful sound healing event. What else have you got on? Have you got anything else on?
I've a couple of weeks I've got chakra dancing.
Oh yes,
Naomi.
Is that the
5th?
7th?
Friday the
5th, yeah, chakra dancing, which those of you that came on our retreat, we had a little taster of that. So that's coming up as well. And then Kay and I are doing, which will be the final shebang of the year before the farm closes down for 3 weeks. So on Saturday, the 18th of December in the evening, we'll be doing a full moon event of some sort, which will be the last event class for the year. And then we are taking 3 weeks off. for Christmas. Self-care.
To breathe.
To breathe. Yeah, I'm actually, I am looking forward to the break. And, that's something that's changed. I just used to take the public holidays off, and then it went to, I just used to take 1 week off at Christmas. And then it's like, actually, I can take 3 weeks off. Everyone will be okay. Everyone will survive.
It's true. And sometimes just taking action on that, you realize, like I've just come off about 4 weeks really of it was the intention was 2 weeks, and then it extended, and this is our first podcast show since I think a few weeks now, and you know what, the world doesn't stop turning.
I know. As I said, we're not that important.
Yeah, correct. We're not that important. So and as long as you follow your heart, I could have pushed podcasts out, but that wouldn't have served anybody. So I'd rather create a podcast from a space of feeling happy and excited than feel like I have to put one out every week.
That's right. And if I think you know that you need to take a break, and we do know, we might choose to ignore it for some of us and keep on doing, but we do get that prompt that actually you do need to take a break. If we don't, from my experience, I know I then start to become a little bit resentful, and I'm not then enjoying fully what I'm doing, or I'm not fully present. So that whole ripple effect is that I know for me to give the best to my students, I need to do the best for myself. And I know for me, especially over Christmas, taking that extended period, I can come back, with vitality and with a freshness and enthusiasm.
For me, it's about ensuring that I'm including in my life the things that are important to me. So when my girls have school holidays, spending time with them is really important to me. So if I'm feeling guided to take time off for that, then I will do that. Sometimes I feel guided to run workshops or open up my healing room for 2 young people during the school holidays, and that's fine too. It's just making sure that I'm connecting in a way that's really important for my heart. So, and if that means taking time off, then we take time off. In the recent school holidays, my girls and I went and had a girls' few days away, went down to the Gold Coast, and you know what, it was amazing. We just did what we wanted to do, which was eat a lot of food and hang out, and just visit places and catch up with friends, and that was really great for all 3 of us, which is awesome.
That's really important, and memories, you'll all remember that.
Yeah, and to do something for no reason is great too. Yeah, a lot of the times we do things because it's booked in or what have you, but to just be able to do something off the cuff is really magical too.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, so good. Yeah, so exciting times.
Yeah, after holidays, of course.
Yes.
So thank you so much for reaching out to me today, Rashi. Rashi, if you don't know, is our most popular podcast guest. Her episode has been the most listened to.
Has it really?
And my intention is that this one is going to outdo the last one.
Yeah, let's put it out there. I could be your third time back then.
Third time, and this is the second time that we've had to chat. And to give you credit, you reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and was guided by your heart and mentioned to me that I feel like we need to have a chat. And so that is the way I live. I listen to my intuition and other people's intuition, and we just made it happen.
You had no idea what we were chatting about. That's the way it rolls.
So it'll be interesting to hear the feedback on this episode as well once our listeners listen to this episode. So thank you so much for making time to chat with me. I love it. I love our chats. If only we could record our coffee chats.
I know. There's some gems in there, aren't they? Yeah, we'll make a whole separate podcast, Coffee Chats with Kay.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And we can't go out now without our girls because they come. Yeah, they come too, which is really sweet.
Yeah, and I see some of those happening in the next few months. So yeah, actually we do need to organise. Yeah, we'll organise a catch up. But thank you
That'd
so
be-
much for having me. Always lovely to chat.
Beautiful day, and I will include the links to the upcoming workshops that you have for anybody that's interested, so that they can just come and purchase a ticket, reserve their yoga mat. And we also forgot to mention the markets.
Oh yes, big event. Christmas markets, November the 13th, Saturday, just in the morning. So I think we start around 8:30 up until about 12, 1 o'clock. Beautiful, locally crafted stuff, art, creative. Coffee shop will be open. Last Christmas markets week was our first one. We underestimated it. It was like we had hundreds and hundreds of people. So yeah, come along. Great place to get Christmas gifts if you're looking, but just a beautiful vibe, and all local, mostly handcrafted art and crafts and goods. Thanks.
What time do the markets run from?
So I'm pretty sure we start like about 8:30, and we run till about 12:31. So just the morning. Yeah, I mean, if more people are there, like midday, we'll keep it going on for longer. But yeah, probably at that time it'd be fairly warm as well. So most people are out in the morning. Yeah, come along, check us out. We've got lots of stuff happening, and food as well.
Sounds beautiful.
Thanks, Kay.
Thank you so much, Rashi.
You're welcome. Have a good day.